All right, I'm here streaming again. All right, I'm gonna post my little comment here. Here's if you wanna come in and chime in and say hi. You can do that. um, I guess I have a few things to talk about today, and the subject of folk rock, namely British folk rock, is always on my mind. I love, with a passion, Sandy Denny, the singer, songstress, beautiful woman from early Fairport Convention fame. I'm a big fan. Um, yeah, so last night I was watching this documentary that I think just came on YouTube yesterday. It's a little bit older documentary, and I think I've heard about it before, but it's almost 2 hours long. And if you don't know anything about Sandy Denny, this is probably this documentary uh, is a good place to start. Uh, there's this channel. Yeah, I'm really informative and at the same time super informal, and I don't have any like real channel names for you, but this channel is really good. If you look for the Sandy Denny documentary, you'll probably find it. Uh, but it's basically a music channel that has music docs on there. There's one for the Smiths. I'm trying to think of other ones that they have. They have one for Syd Barrett. Um, there's some kind of oddball ones in there, but I'm gonna bank on the fact that it's probably a British channel because a lot of the artists are from the UK. So anyway, I was watching that documentary, and somehow on my phone, my phone knows everything that I do. So it detected. For Record Store Day this year, they are going to have a Sandy Denny double LP that is early home recordings, and I think these recordings have been released before, or most of them, or some of them. Um, there are a few Sandy Denny boxes. One is all kinds of goodies on it, but it has all the albums, all the songs she did with Fairport Convention. I don't think that it's like full Fairport Convention albums or anything like that, but um, there's another one that's like I'm trying to think. It's more. I mean, there's a few that are out there. There are two main ones that I'm thinking of. One has a very artsy looking cover to it, and that one is very expensive and it's like very limited edition. Anyway, those are both fantastic. I don't know where I'm going with this, honestly, but I'm a big fan of her stuff. Really, Fairport Convention, even the first album that Sandy's not on. Basically, that year was 1969, and during that year, they put out 3 albums in that year, all with her. Um, and then they put out another album in 1970, minus her, minus Ashley Hutchings. And then, like, by that point, their violinist, uh, fiddle player, was a permanent member for a while, I think through the 70s at least. You know, end of the late 70s, I think it had changed quite a bit. I think there is one original member, if the band is even still together, which I think they are. And by original, I don't mean like 60s Fairport Convention. I mean, this dude was like in it in the 70s. Uh, might have been Simon Nickel, might be the original member from the 70s. Um, anyway, I mean, some of their early 70s stuff is actually really good. So I don't know. I don't know much about who's on that. I assume it's rather a rock genre or whatever, I guess. Like their first album is very like they had a different lead singer, Julie Dybel, who they ousted from the band, unfortunately. She did have a nice voice, but um, there were a lot of covers on the first album. The first song on the first album is actually a cover from the California band The Merry-Go-Round, and The Merry-Go-Round was fronted by Emmett Rhodes, who passed away like was it last year or the year before? I can't remember now. I think it was last year at the age of 70, which is really sad because he had put out a comeback album, which was really good, by the way, back in like 2014, I think. Maybe it was 2015 or 16, but it was one of those years. I'm rambling, and the person that watched me left, and that's fine. Um, but I'm trying to think about what else I wanted to talk about. I've purchased some quite a bit of music recently, some CDs. There's a John Fahey CD that I do nothing about that actually I have coming in the mail, and it is him like doing readings from his books along with some music that I think some of it's his music and some of it's other people's music, and I think there's a particular band involved with this. And I knew nothing about this album, and apparently it came out in 2008. But this is something that's totally up my alley. Um, I've recently, in the last few years, discovered on Bandcamp there are 3 cassettes worth full of random um, musical crap, but it's not really crap. It's really very artsy that John Fahey did in the last year or two of his life. There are so many of those recordings floating around. Um, some that are even listed on Discogs, but I mean they're like seriously impossible to find. Um, but anyway, I digress. I've been listening to a lot of different kinds of things recently. I discovered the music of Robbie Basho, who was a contemporary of Fahey, and I actually if you go to Tubi, TUBI, you can watch the Robbie Basho documentary, which is very good. I really liked it. Um, he was very interested in Eastern mysticism and spirituality and Hinduism and Indian, Native American spirituality and music and different, all kinds of things that were just, some of them were a little bit off the wall. And I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I mind you no disrespect from, uh, but I think he might have been a deeply troubled person. And along with that, I think he was brilliant. I really do think he was brilliant. And I don't want to get into a car accident. So, that's the tricky thing about streaming from your car while you're driving, which I don't recommend, by the way. Um, let's see, what else can I say? Um, I have purchased a few Joan Armatrading albums that I found in Iowa City that were very, very cheap that I don't have. One of the albums is called Secret Secrets, and I tell you what, I don't always gravitate towards albums on their first listen, but I did with this one. I thought it was tremendous. It's a bit dated, 80s, um, like with an 80s kind of vibe to it. But if you can get past that, it is so rich and the songs are so good, and it's melodic, and it's repet uh, repetitious in all the right ways. It's a very good album. I highly recommend that album. It's probably not a good album to start out with. If you want to start out with uh, any of her albums, I would start out with her self-titled. I'm pretty sure that's the one, and that is like her third or fourth album. I'm pretty sure. I want to say third, but it could be her fourth. Um, I also recently got the second album, which is really good, that I didn't have. Um, but I really like that one. Really, honestly, any of her albums that I've heard have been pretty good. I haven't found as much with her recent stuff that I liked as much as I liked the stuff from the early 80s and all through the 70s. Very good stuff. The first album's a little bit different, I think, but I mean, every album is a little bit different with her. Musically, she's a bit in the folk world. She does some funky stuff. She does some. I mean, it's some very ballad type songs. I mean, she's on the piano, she's on the guitar. I mean, she's a very good musician, very good songwriter. Really, more than anything, I just really good songs that will, that she kind of writes songs from the heart, really, but they're not just her emoting. Very deep and rich and that kind of thing, which I really appreciate about her. Anybody that discovers Joan Armatrading really discovers um, quite a treasure of a songwriter, honestly. Uh, so yeah, I'm a fan. I'm continuing to be a bigger fan of hers. I believe I only own her on record album, but her albums are so inexpensive when you find them, and I don't know why. Just because she was mass produced on a major record label, and I can't imagine that she's the best seller of all time, of all artists. She is very significant and very critically acclaimed, though, and so I think you should check her out. I need to get going, but it's been fun doing this, even though no one's really watched. I hope you can do it again sometime soon. Thanks a lot, guys. Bye bye.